My name is Marissa Cole. I'm 32 years old and I made my first million by 27 flipping distressed homes in the outskirts of Houston. I built my name, my business, and every dollar in my bank account from scratch. No trust funds. No investors. Just me, sweat, grit, and a deep well of silence where love was supposed to be. I used to think that being successful would finally earn me respect, especially from the two women who were supposed to love me unconditionally, my mother, Diane, and my younger sister, Bella. But respect doesn't come from people who never wanted to see you rise. It just threatens them. Growing up, it was always Bella who got the softness. She was the baby, the golden girl. Pretty, light-spirited, and reckless. Mom doted on her like she hung the damn moon. When Bella crashed Dad's old car at 17, Mom blamed the car. When she dropped out of college, Mom said the professors were too stuffy. When Bella got arrested for shoplifting designer perfume, Mom swore it was a misunderstanding and paid the fine with the same calm she used when pouring herself coffee. Me. I was the serious one. The planner. The one who didn't cry easily and did her own homework without being asked. They called me too independent, too bossy, too cold. That was their way of punishing me for not needing them the way Bella did. By the time I was 19, I'd stopped asking for help. I got my real estate license by 20, sold my first house by 22 and didn't look back. Every year since, I doubled what I earned the year before. But no matter what I did, nothing was ever enough to shift the air between us. Success didn't fix the cracks. It made them impossible to ignore. A few months ago I found the house. A colonial-style estate just outside Fredericksburg. 8 acres of peace and sunlight and potential. I'd dreamed of this kind of place since I was a girl, thumbing through better homes and gardens and waiting rooms while Bella colored on the walls. The seller wanted cash. Old school, fast closing. No contingencies. I had the money, all $10 million of it, sitting liquid in my business reserve account. I'd never held that kind of cash in my hands before. It felt risky but also thrilling. I had a plan to store it at the bank temporarily, but then my mother offered. "Why don't you just keep it in my safe, baby?" she'd said over coffee. "That thing's made of steel and concrete. Your daddy had it installed when we moved here. Nothing's ever touched it." It took everything in me not to flinch when she called me baby. I couldn't remember the last time she used that word. Maybe high school. Still, there was something in her voice. She sounded different, soft, like she wanted to help. Like maybe, just maybe, this was a turning point. A sliver of trust. I should have known better. The safe was in the basement. An old walk-in vault that used to store Dad's hunting guns and old documents. It smelled like metal and forgotten dreams. I brought the cash in 2 large black duffel bags and stacked the bundles neatly. $10 million in clean, tightly wrapped bills. I locked the door. I memorized the code. Then I gave it to Mom just in case. "You sure you want me to have this?" she asked, cocking her head like she'd been handed something fragile and priceless. "I trust you," I said. And I meant it. For I wanted to mean it. For the next 2 days I stayed at my apartment in Houston, wrapping up contracts and prepping for the final walkthrough of the house. I called Mom once. She didn't answer. I texted her. No reply. But that wasn't unusual. She could be flaky, forgetful. I told myself not to overthink. But by the 3rd day something felt wrong. It was the silence that did it. I drove to her house just before sunrise. There was no car in the driveway. No lights in the windows. The front door was unlocked. Inside the house was eerily still. Too still. Her favorite mug wasn't on the counter. Bella's worn-out jacket wasn't on the coat rack. The living room looked empty. I called out, "Mom?" Nothing. I went downstairs, heart pounding like a drum in a fog. I spun the dial on the safe and opened the door. Gone. The bags. The money. Everything. Gone. I stood there, staring into the hollow of cold steel. The silence roared in my ears. My first thought wasn't panic. It was something heavier. More bitter. Of course. On the kitchen table was a piece of paper. A note. No envelope. No apology. Just a sharp scrawl on lined notebook paper. "Thanks for your money. Now we can finally live our dream life without you judging us. Mom and Bella." I stood there and read it twice. Then again. And then I laughed. It started small. A breathy, bitter chuckle. Then a full-on laugh. From the gut. The kind of laugh that tastes like smoke in memory. Because what they didn't know What neither of them bothered to ask was that the bags didn't contain $10 million. Not even close. 2 days before the drop, I swapped the real cash with bundles of movie prop money, ultra-realistic bills used for film shoots and training videos. To anyone glancing quickly, it was indistinguishable. How even up close you had to know what to look for. The fine print, the slightly waxy texture, the off-center seals. I packed those bags with nothing but drama props and scented tissue paper. Even the weight matched. It was the perfect decoy. The real money? It was tucked neatly into a secured deposit box at an underground private vault facility in Austin. Triple authentication. Biometric access. No names, just numbers. I had driven it there myself with security escort. Because I had learned something over the years. People don't change. They just get better at hiding who they are, until money's on the table. And I knew my mother. I knew my sister. I gave them a choice. Yes. And they failed. So I laughed. Not because I lost anything. But because they did. Their mask, their dignity, their last chance. I walked out of that house not with fear but with fire. I wasn't the daughter who begged for love anymore. I was the woman who had nothing left to prove. And the game? It was just beginning. I didn't go back to my apartment after leaving my mother's house. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I drove, miles and miles down I-10 until the sun began to bleed into the horizon, and even then I didn't stop. I wasn't running. I was shedding. Every mile put distance between me and the girl who still believed they might love me back. They didn't just steal fake money. They stole the last piece of my hope. That was what made it unforgivable. By the time I pulled up to the private vault facility in Austin, my hands were steady. The receptionist smiled at me like I wasn't wearing betrayal like a second skin. I went through security, walked down the polished corridor, and entered my private room with a fingerprint scan. And there was 2 pristine steel cases tucked inside my safe deposit box, untouched. $10 million. Whole. Still mine. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I needed to count it. I already knew it was all there. But because it was the first thing in weeks that hadn't lied to me. I placed a single photo on top of the stack. One of me at 7 years old holding a paper sign that said, "Mom, look what I made." I was beaming. She wasn't even in the frame. Then I closed the case and turned the lock. I was done being the fool. I didn't report the theft right away. That's what they would have expected. They'd assume I'd panic. Maybe even cry. Maybe I'd file a police report, call the banks, tell everyone I'd been scammed. They'd count on my shame keeping me quiet. But I wasn't ashamed. I was calculating. They had given me their truest selves in that note. Now I just had to decide how far I wanted to go. Bella posted the first clue 2 days later. A glittery photo of her in a new outfit, holding a cocktail, tagged at a rooftop bar in Miami. The caption was as subtle as a hammer. "When dreams come true, make sure they're expensive." I smiled. They were already spending the fake cash. By the time I saw Mom's post, her posing next to a luxury SUV in a ridiculous leopard coat, I had already called my attorney, Devin. "I need you to make sure no money is tied to me," I said. "They're going to make a mess." "You're not pressing charges?" "Not yet," I said. "Let them get comfortable. I want them to dig the hole themselves." Devin hesitated. "You're playing a long game here." "I'm playing the only game they understand." The next 48 hours were a symphony of predictable stupidity. Bella booked a penthouse suite at a 5-star hotel. Mom went on a shopping spree, maxing out 3 new credit cards. They tried to wire transfer cash into a local bank account and were promptly flagged when the teller noticed the bills were missing watermarks. That's when the panic must have started. But I wasn't there to witness it. I was too busy making phone calls. The first was to an investigative journalist named Kyra Jacobs, someone I'd helped close a housing fraud case the year before. She owed me one. The second was to the bank that owned the mortgage on my mom's house. The third was to the Internal Revenue Service. I wasn't interested in revenge that ended in a slap on the wrist. I wanted them exposed. I wanted the people they smiled at in church, the neighbors they gossiped with, the cousins they bragged to. I wanted all of them to know who Diane and Bella Cole really were. It didn't take long. Kyra ran the story 2 days later. The headline exploded on local social media. "Millionaire daughter's family steals $10 million in elaborate betrayal, but it was all fake money." He called it the heist that backfired. The story included screenshots of Bella's Instagram posts, public footage of Mom showing off the SUV, and a timeline of events that made it clear, without a doubt, that they had intended to steal. Kyra was good. She never named me directly. Just a successful real estate investor who trusted her family, only to be betrayed. Within hours my phone blew up. People I hadn't heard from in years started texting. Distant relatives. Old classmates. Even my father's brother, Uncle Jared, who I hadn't seen since Dad's funeral. "Is it true?" he asked over voicemail. "Your mom and Bella, they really did that?" I didn't respond. I didn't need to. By the third day Mom and Bella were back in Texas. The SUV was gone. So were the new clothes. Their social media accounts had been wiped clean. But the damage was done. They came to my office. I was in the middle of reviewing renovation plans when my assistant knocked softly and whispered, "Your mom and sister are here. They look desperate." I nodded and told her to send them in. They walked in together, Mom wringing her hands and Bella pale under her fake tan. For once neither of them looked smug. Just hollow. "Marissa," Mom said, voice brittle. "We need to talk." I didn't offer them chairs. She tried again. "We didn't know the money was fake. We thought you'd steal from me and get away with it?" I interrupted, voice even. "You did. You planned it. You left a note." Bella stepped forward. "We were just angry, okay? You have all this success and you never help us. You treat us like you're better than us." I laughed. "I am better than you. You proved that." Mom's lips trembled. "Marissa, honey, please. You don't know what it's like. Don't call me honey." My tone was sharp enough to cut. "You stole from me. You humiliated me. And now the whole city knows it." "But it was fake money." Bella shrieked. "You tricked us." "No," I said, stepping around my desk. "I gave you a chance. I trusted you. And you showed me who you were. That wasn't a trick. That was clarity." Tears spilled down Mom's cheeks. "We have nothing now. The banks froze our accounts. Bella lost her job. People are calling us thieves." "You are thieves," I snapped. "And the consequences of your choices aren't my problem." For a moment the room was thick with silence. Bella looked at me like I was a stranger. Mom's shoulders collapsed inward as if finally realizing the door had closed behind her for good. "I just wanted you to be proud of us," Mom whispered. "Then you should have been people worth being proud of." They left without another word. I sat down slowly, heart pounding, not from rage but release. I didn't cry. I didn't celebrate. I just sat there breathing, letting the weight of years slide off my chest. That night I drove out to Fredericksburg to visit my dream house. The sun was just dipping behind the hill, bathing the stone facade in golden light. The porch creaked under my steps as I walked to the front, keys in hand. I stepped inside. The rooms were still bare. No furniture yet. Just open space and possibility. It smelled like fresh wood and hope. I walked to the kitchen, set my phone on the counter and stood in the silence. For the first time in years, it was the kind of silence that didn't hurt. It wasn't lonely. It was mine. I picked up my phone and typed a note just for myself. "You loved them more than they ever deserved. But now you love yourself enough to walk away." Then I turned off the lights, walked to the upstairs balcony and looked out over my land. $10 million didn't buy me that. Betrayal did. And I'd take that lesson over blood any day. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of quiet. Not the peaceful kind that settles around you like a blanket, but the heavy kind. The kind that presses on your chest when you wake up, reminding you that silence doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes it just means the storm is circling. I thought they would slink back into obscurity. That Mom and Bella would keep their heads down, lick their wounds and finally understand the damage they'd done. But people like them don't feel shame. They feel inconvenienced. So when I got a cease and desist letter on a Thursday morning, claiming defamation and emotional harm, I didn't feel shocked. I felt insulted. My lawyer, Devin, called me before I even finished reading it. "They think you leaked the story directly," he said, voice sharp. "I didn't," I replied. "Kyra ran the article on her own. I never gave her names. That won't stop them from trying to make noise. It's not a real case, it's a tantrum. But if they can paint themselves as victims, they'll try to twist it in their favor." I laughed bitterly. Let them try. The internet doesn't forget screenshots. Still, the gall of it made something burn hot in my chest. Mom and Bella had robbed me. Betrayed me in a way I wouldn't have believed if I hadn't seen it unfold with my own eyes. And now they wanted to play the victims? That was when I realized they weren't finished. And neither was I. The day after the letter arrived, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. "Hey Riss, it's Bella. Can we talk? I'm sorry. I was just following Mom. I didn't mean for it to go that far." I stared at the message like it was poison. She called me Riss. That nickname hadn't left her mouth in years, since we were teenagers sneaking Pop-Tarts from Mom's secret stash. It was an old weapon dressed in nostalgia meant to disarm me. I didn't reply. I screenshotted the message and sent it to Devin instead. "She's testing the water," I wrote. "She thinks I might still fold." His response came quickly. "Block her. Stay quiet. Let them squirm." I wanted to take his advice, but something in me couldn't. So I didn't block her. I waited. 3 days later, Bella sent a voice note. I didn't open it at first. I stared at the little play triangle for a long time before finally pressing it. Her voice came through soft, cracking at the edges. "Marissa, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Mom's losing it. She keeps saying it's your fault. She's drinking a lot. I thought we were going to have this big new life, but everything's falling apart. Please. I miss you." I almost deleted it. Almost. But I didn't. Because underneath her tremble, there it was, the same manipulation that lived in Mom's tone. Guilt. Not apology. Not ownership. Just emotional blackmail wrapped in sentiment. Still, it got under my skin. Not because I believed her, but because I recognized how much of my life had been spent unraveling guilt they wrapped around me like a birthday bow. I needed to end this. Completely. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I drove to the house I grew up in. It was small now. Or maybe I had just outgrown it so thoroughly that it felt like a dollhouse. Too many fake rooms, too many walls with paper-thin truths. The windows were closed. The blinds drawn. But the porch light was on. I knocked. It was Mom who opened the door. She didn't look like herself. Her makeup was half done, smeared in the corner of one eye. Her hair was tied up haphazardly, like she'd given up halfway through the effort. She was holding a glass of something amber. I could smell the whiskey before she spoke. "Well, look who finally decided to come crawling back." I didn't flinch. "I'm not here for a reunion," I said. "I'm here to make something clear." She leaned on the doorframe. "I didn't steal anything real from you, Marissa. You're the one who played a trick. You embarrassed us. You robbed me." "I thought it was money," she snapped. "That's different. Don't act like you didn't set us up." "I gave you a choice," I said calmly. "And you picked betrayal." She took a long sip from her glass. "You always thought you were better than us. You and your degrees and your shiny business. All you ever wanted was to prove how much smarter you were. Well, congratulations. You win." "No, Mom. I lost. For years. I lost time and love and respect. I gave and hoped you'd see me. But you didn't. Now I finally see you." Her face twisted. "Don't pretend like you're innocent in all this. You baited us." I looked her in the eye, unflinching. "I baited the truth. And it walked right out of your mouth." That was when Bella stepped into the hallway behind her. She looked thinner, drawn, like life had drained out of her. "Riss," she said softly. "Don't. Please." I turned to her. "You had a choice too, Bella." "I didn't think it would blow up like this," she whispered. "I thought we'd get a little breathing room. You have so much. We had nothing." I narrowed my eyes. "You had me," I said. "You had someone who would have helped you. Invested in you. Believed in you. But instead you saw me as a vault." Bella's eyes welled up. And I almost believed it. Almost. But tears are easy. Accountability is hard. I pulled out the envelope I brought and handed it to Mom. "What's this?" she asked suspiciously. "Legal notice," I said. "I'm officially revoking my financial power of attorney over you. Any shared business accounts are being dissolved. I'm taking my name off your mortgage, your insurance, and every last thing I once signed to help you." Her mouth fell open. "You can't." "I did." Bella's voice cracked. "You're cutting us off?" I looked between them. "No. You did that when you chose greed over family." I turned and walked away before they could respond. Outside, the air felt heavier but cleaner. Like a storm had finally broken. The next day Bella showed up at my office again. I wasn't going to let her in. But she stood outside for 2 hours, refusing to leave. So I met her in the parking lot. "I need help," she said, mascara smudged, holding herself like the wind might break her. "You had help," I replied. She wiped her face. I know I messed up. But I don't want to end up like Mom." I said nothing. "I've started looking for jobs," she added. "I'm staying on a friend's couch. I don't have anything." I stared at her. For a moment I saw the little sister who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms. Who used to braid my hair while telling me about boys she liked. Who once begged Mom to let me blow out one of her birthday candles. But that girl had made a choice too. "Good," I said. "It's about time you started from zero." "I did. So can you." Her mouth trembled. "You really don't care anymore." "No, Bella. I finally care about myself." And with that I walked back inside and shut the door behind me. That night I sat on the balcony of my new house, a glass of wine in my hand and my phone off for once. The sky stretched out above me, endless and open. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt free. And after everything, that was enough. It was strange the way peace felt like grief. I thought once the weight of my mother and sister was lifted, I'd feel lighter. Like cutting loose a sinking ship. But the truth was, even poison takes time to leave the bloodstream. Some days I woke up angry. Other days just tired. I wasn't mourning the loss of their presence. I was mourning the fantasy that they were ever really mine to lose. I poured myself into work. Renovations. Permits. Meetings. I said yes to more projects than I should have. My phone never stopped buzzing and I let it. Noise was easier than reflection. But even noise has its limits. On a gray Monday morning I got a call from Devin. "You're not going to like this," he said. "That's never how I want a conversation to start," I muttered. He sighed. "Your mother has filed a civil suit. She's claiming emotional distress, reputational damage and financial sabotage. She's seeking $750,000. For a second I thought I'd misheard. "She's suing me?" "Yes. And she's dragging Bella into it as a witness." I let out a laugh that didn't feel like a laugh at all. That woman stole from me, got exposed, and now she wants to paint herself as the victim? She's banking on you not wanting the mess to go public. Hoping you'll settle quietly to avoid headlines. "Let her bank on it," I said. "We've both seen what happens when people assume I'll stay quiet." But deep down I felt something different this time. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was war. I didn't want to settle. I didn't want peace. I wanted the world to see exactly how deep her manipulation ran. So I told Devin to fight. If she wants court, she'll get it. But we're not going in there to defend. We're going in to expose. The next few weeks were a flurry of paperwork, witness statements, and timelines. Devin worked like a machine. I handed over emails, texts, photos, security footage of the empty safe. I gave him everything. But what kept me up at night wasn't the case. It was Bella. She was going to testify on Mom's behalf. Sworn under oath. After everything. I didn't care about Mom. She'd always been a narcissist dressed in pearls and fake patience. But Bella? Some part of me still wanted to believe there was a sliver of decency in her. I was wrong. 2 nights before the court date I saw her. Not in person. On YouTube. A clip from a live stream. Some amateur gossip channel had picked up the story. Bella was on camera, hair curled, makeup perfect, playing the wounded sister. She blinked through crocodile tears and said, "I never thought Marissa would go public. I begged her to keep it in the family, but she thrives on humiliation. She's always had to be the smartest one in the room." The host nodded with faux empathy. "So, it was all a misunderstanding?" "She set us up," Bella said. "She tricked us. She knew we were desperate and used it as a game." I slammed the laptop shut so hard the screen cracked. For the first time in years I felt rage like fire in my throat. Not just hurt. Fury. The kind of fury that makes your hands shake not from fear, but from the sheer effort it takes not to burn the world down. He was lying. And she was good at it. The day of court came fast. The hearing wasn't dramatic. No jury, just a judge. A quiet room with beige walls and fake wood furniture. But it felt like walking into a battlefield. Mom sat on the plaintiff's side, lips pursed, dressed in a modest suit she probably thought screamed dignity. Bella was beside her in soft pastels, playing the role of fragile daughter. I wore black. No jewelry. No makeup. Just me. Devin opened with a clear, calm summary: how I withdrew money, trusted my family, and how they took it. He explained the bait setup with the fake bills, detailed the timeline of deception, and showed the Instagram photos and leaked messages. Then Bella took the stand. And she lied. With such conviction you'd think she believed it herself. She told me she wanted to test us, Bella said. That it was some kind of loyalty check. But she never warned us. She just let us take the fall. She even pulled out fake tears again, dabbing them gently with a tissue. Marissa always made me feel inferior. She used her money to control us. This wasn't justice. It was punishment. My fists clenched under the table. But I didn't interrupt. I waited. When Devin stood and calmly began cross-examining her, something shifted. Miss Cole, did your sister ever give you permission to take the money? Bella blinked. She didn't say we couldn't. That's not the question. No, she didn't give us explicit permission. Did she or did she not leave a note behind expressing betrayal after discovering the money gone? She left a trap, Bella hissed. Did she contact the police? No. Did she press charges? No. Then how exactly was this punishment? Bella was unraveling slowly. But the real blow came when Devin presented a phone recording. One Bella had left me accidentally in a voice note 3 weeks earlier. She didn't know I'd saved it. The court played it aloud. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I thought we'd get a little breathing room. You have so much. We had nothing. Bella's face drained of color. Mom's jaw locked. The judge called for a break. Outside in the hallway I saw them whispering furiously. Bella's eyes met mine across the corridor, and for the first time in months she looked like herself. Not the actress, not the liar, but the lost girl underneath. And I didn't care. When court resumed, the judge didn't mince words. He dismissed the suit in its entirety. Called it meritless. A waste of court resources. Then, in a twist I didn't expect, he turned to my mother. Ms. Diane Cole, based on the evidence, this court finds your claims not only unsubstantiated but bordering on fraudulent. You attempted to manipulate this court system to continue a pattern of financial exploitation. Mom's face froze. You may wish to consider legal counsel moving forward, in case the defendant decides to pursue counteraction. That was my cue. I stood, nodded respectfully to the judge, and walked out without a glance behind me. Outside, the sky had turned pale gold. Evening was creeping in like a sigh. I should have felt relief. But I didn't. I felt nothing. Just done. Until I got to my car. Bella was waiting beside it. She didn't say anything at first. Just stood there, arms wrapped around herself like she might vanish. I didn't expect you to save that voicemail, she said quietly. You didn't expect me to survive you either, I replied. Her eyes shimmered. Do you hate me? No, I said, voice steady. I don't hate you. That would mean I still feel something for you. But I don't. Not anymore. I lost everything, she whispered. I lost Mom. My job. Friends. Nobody wants to be around me. I tilted my head. Then maybe now you'll understand what it's like to build from nothing. She looked at me like she was about to say something else. Something pleading, something pathetic. But I didn't wait. I got in my car and drove away. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I turned on my favorite playlist, rolled down the windows, and let the air hit my face. Because this wasn't sadness. This was survival. And I'd earned every breath of it. 3 months passed. The house was finished. The garden bloomed in neat rows of lavender and rosemary, and I had finally hung my nameplate outside the gate. Cole House, carved in black walnut. It should have been the happiest chapter of my life. But closure doesn't come from new walls or fresh paint. It comes when you stop waiting for the apology that will never come. I had one. In every legal and financial sense I had come out ahead. The courts threw out their ridiculous lawsuit. My reputation stayed intact. My business even grew. Clients admired the way I handled it all, called me sharp, strategic, unshakable. But no one called me whole. Because the truth was, even after everything, part of me still looked over my shoulder. Still expected a shadow where there should be sunlight. Still wondered how deeply betrayal could root itself in a person before it became permanent. It was Devin who told me first. I ran a routine background check on Diane and Bella. I thought you'd want to know, he said one afternoon. I don't, I replied immediately. You'll want to hear this, he said quietly. They were being investigated by the IRS. Apparently, in their rush to spend the money, they'd reported fictitious assets on a false loan application, claiming the stolen cash was income. They submitted fake tax documents. The federal kind of mistake. They're facing charges? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Could be. It's early. But this time they can't point fingers at you. I hung up and sat in silence. It wasn't satisfaction I felt. It wasn't even justice. It was grief. Because somewhere deep inside me I knew this was always how it was going to end. I walked out to my porch, barefoot, glass of red wine in hand. The evening air smelled like basil and rain. The sun had just slipped behind the hill, staining the clouds orange. I thought about my childhood. About the version of me that still believed love came in the shape of sacrifice. That girl had tried so hard to earn affection by doing everything right. Being the responsible one, the one who never asked for help, the one who held the family together while they took turns breaking it apart. She was gone now. I didn't mourn her. But I missed her sometimes. Her softness. Her hope. That was when the letter came. Handwritten. No return address. I found it wedged in the front gate's mailbox, tucked between a real estate brochure and a coupon book. The handwriting was unmistakable. I almost threw it away. But something made me open it. Marissa, I don't know what's left to say. I suppose nothing I write will change your mind. But I wanted you to know that everything you said in court, every word, was true. I did see you as a vault. I did resent your success. It was easier to blame you than face my own failure. I raised you to be strong, but I never imagined you'd be strong enough to leave me behind. That's what stings the most. That you survived us. Bella's struggling. She won't admit it, but she's been couch hopping. Her name is toxic now. I tried to help, but I barely have anything left myself. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve that. But if there's a part of you that still remembers the good moments, your 10th birthday, that road trip to Sedona, the Christmas we made lemon bars until midnight, then maybe you'll understand why I'm writing this. I was a bad mother. But I did love you. Maybe in my own broken way. Mom. I read the letter 3 times. Once as her daughter. Once as the woman I'd become. And once as the judge of both. Then I folded it carefully and placed it in the fire pit on the back porch. I lit a match and watched the paper curl, blacken, and vanish into ash. I didn't need an apology. I needed distance. 1 week later, Bella showed up at my gate. I saw her through the cameras before she even pressed the intercom. She looked smaller somehow. No makeup. No pose. Just worn jeans, a wrinkled hoodie, and that haunted look that only comes after you've been chewed up by life and spat out by everyone who once clapped for you. I didn't let her in. But I picked up the call. Marissa, she said, voice cracking. I said nothing. I'm not here to ask for anything, she added quickly. I just wanted to see the house. The one you always dreamed about. You saw it, I said. You can leave now. I meant it, she said quietly. When I told you in court that I didn't want to end up like her. You already did, I said steady. But it's not too late to stop. She looked up at the camera. I used to envy you, she whispered. Your ambition. Your backbone. I thought you were lucky. But you weren't. You were just alone. And now I understand what that feels like. The silence between us was thick. I want to be better, she said. I don't know how, but I want to try. I stared at the screen. And for once I saw no manipulation in her face. No performance. Just desperation, maybe real. I buzzed the gate open. We sat on the porch. I didn't offer her wine or small talk. She didn't ask for a second chance. We didn't talk about money. Instead, we talked about the past. Not the betrayals, but the years before. The early ones. The blanket forts. The time she broke her wrist and I carried her bike home. The summer we watched the stars and swore we'd never let the world break us the way it broke Mom. I guess we lied, she said softly. No, I said. We just didn't understand how heavy that promise would become. She nodded. I applied for a job at a diner, she said. Washing dishes. It's humiliating, but it's real. And I think that's what I need right now. Real. I didn't respond. Instead, I stood, walked inside, and came back with an envelope. I handed it to her. She opened it and froze. It was a check. $3,000. Enough for a deposit on a small apartment and some breathing room. Her lip quivered. Why? Because if you're finally ready to change, I said, I want to believe you can. Tears welled up in her eyes. I don't deserve this. No, you don't, I said. But I'm giving it anyway. One time. That's it. She nodded, holding the envelope like it might crumble in her hands. Don't call me, I said. Don't visit. Not until your life looks nothing like hers. She stood, unsure whether to hug me or just say thank you. In the end, she just whispered, I'm sorry, and walked back down the path. I watched her leave. And I didn't cry. I felt the ache, sure, but it wasn't sadness. It was healing. It was the ache of something torn finally stitching back together. Alone again, I sat on my porch, pulled out my journal and wrote one sentence. Some people will never know how much love it takes to finally walk away. I don't know if Bella will change. I don't know if that money will go toward an apartment or end up wasted. But I do know one thing. I'm not the same woman I was 6 months ago. I've learned that blood isn't a promise. That love isn't loyalty. And that survival, real survival, is learning to save yourself when the people you love most are the ones trying to drown you. That $10 million never left the safe. But the girl who put it there? She's long gone. And in her place stands a woman who doesn't just rebuild houses. She rebuilds herself. Brick by brick. Flame by flame. No apologies needed. No forgiveness owed. Just the quiet freedom of knowing that I'm finally, irrevocably free. If you felt every twist of betrayal and every step of her revenge, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story. Would you have forgiven them or done worse? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready for more stories where karma hits harder than expected, turn on the notification bell. We've got more where that came from.